Negotiating before, during, and after. Now that you've learned the basics of collaborative negotiations, it's time to learn more about actually doing the negotiations. You will look at what to do before to prepare, what you will be doing during, and what you will do after to ensure an agreement goes forward. Preparation is the most important part of negotiations. If you prepare well, it'll show up in the results. Here are some things to do to prepare for your negotiations. The steps to starting negotiations. First, make a list of the issues. In Chapter 2, you made a list of key issues. In the last section, you made several worksheets for each of the areas of conflict regarding the key issues of separation. Do you have a detailed list of topics now? Think about what needs to be decided. Those are the things that need to be in your list. You may need to go back to the previous worksheets to complete the new negotiation worksheet. The more neutral you can state the topic, the easier it is for the other person to enter into the negotiations. List topics as questions. For example, a less neutral stated topic is, should Johnny go to French immersion next year? A more neutral would be, where will Johnny attend school next year? Gather the information relevant to the topics. If you're going to be talking about financial matters, be sure to organize and take your financial documents. Initiate the negotiation. You should schedule negotiations as face-to-face meetings, or you can choose an alternative communication channel. Keep the invitation friendly and light. Don't tell the other person what to do or what is best. Suggest a neutral time and place to talk without interruption. If you have children, they should not be present when you negotiate. An example of setting up a negotiation is, I would like to talk about Johnny's daycare situation. As you know, he's been having trouble adjusting. Are you available to talk about this next Wednesday evening by phone around 8 p.m.? Suggest guidelines. Set out a guide for talking to each other respectfully based on your previous experiences. For instance, if in past conversations there has been a lot of blaming language, you could say, I know that when we've been talking before, there's been a lot of blaming on both sides, and that hasn't helped. Could we agree that if it happens again, we will take a short break to calm down? Other common guidelines can cover how to behave during negotiations. For example, you can set rules on not interrupting and letting the other person finish their thoughts, or on not raising your voices. Create an agenda together. You will probably need to have more than one negotiation session. In order to work out all the issues, you will probably meet several times. Plan to discuss certain topics at certain times. It is best if you work with a shared agenda. When you set up a negotiation, you can suggest topic items. Invite the other person to comment and add their own. Or you can offer to email the list of topics and invite their response. The main point is to work together on it. At the start, keep the agenda short. Be strategic in selecting issues to discuss. Ideally, you want to finish the first round of negotiation feeling good about the process and feeling like you are moving toward agreement.
Once you've initiated negotiations, here's what to do during negotiations. 1. Start with easy. Don't start with the hardest topic. Start small. Like a child, you will crawl, walk, and then run. It's easier to tackle difficult issues when you have already built agreement on other issues. You want to build on your successes. Getting some of the less disputed topics off the table will help you and your former spouse feel like you are moving forward. Carrying positive momentum into your discussions will help you both feel more open to solutions. 2. Stay on topic, focus on interests. Focus on the topic and not your feelings about your former spouse. Be professional by remaining calm and open to discussion, but focused on the topic at hand. When you're talking about a desired outcome for an issue, share why the outcome is important and not just why it is important to you. Discuss shared interests. If you don't understand why something is important to your former partner, ask him or her to explain it. Understanding the reasons behind why each of you wants something will make it easier to find a solution that you can both agree on. If you feel you are not getting a chance to share your viewpoint, express your need to say what you need to say. For example, I haven't had a chance to get my point across. Could you give me some time to say what I need to say? Listen. Practice active listening. Repeat the key interests expressed by your former spouse. Try to understand the motivations behind their goals. Listen for their interests. Ask, why is this important to you? Don't judge. When we are in conflict, we have a tendency to put down whatever the other person is saying. We discount it. If you find yourself judging what the other person is saying, stop. Pause or take a break. Refocus your communication and your energies on working towards a positive solution. Throughout your negotiation, provide positive feedback about the progress you are making. If you don't understand what your former spouse is saying or where they are coming from, ask for clarification. Try to clear your mind of assumptions about what their perspective might be. Keep in mind that everyone has a right to feel the way they feel. You may not agree with the feeling, however, telling someone that they shouldn't feel that way is seldom productive. 4. Find solutions. Use your preparation notes and the negotiation worksheets to guide you. Focus on the best interests of the children. Try to find shared interests to build agreement around. Be creative about ways to work things out. Look for solutions together. Present possible solutions as suggestions, not as demands. Asking questions is a great way to get input without declaring your preference. For example, you could start with, "What do you think if we," instead of saying, "I think we should." Keep in mind that you don't need all of the answers now. For some things, you just need to decide on an approach to reach an agreement later. If you can agree on how you will make the decision later, that's a good solution for now. For example, if you need to choose a daycare, it might be easier if you both agree on how to decide on the important things like cost and location, rather than actually making a decision now. If you feel unsure or extremely pressured about making a decision, take time to consider it and get feedback from others. You do not always have to come to a decision in the same conversation as the negotiation. It is okay that you need some time to think about the issue and perhaps get some advice. 5. Don't get stuck, get help. You and your former spouse may not be able to come to agreement on all of the issues that need to be decided. Don't get stuck. Keep working through issues until all of them have been discussed. At the end, you can come back and revisit those issues where you did not reach agreement. If you cannot reach agreement on some of the issues, get help. Chapter 4, Get Help, describes a number of professionals who can help you to reach an agreement without going to court. For example, throughout the province, family justice counselors can meet with you to help you find solutions. This is a free service, and FJCs are trained in family mediation. 6. Take notes. Make sure you write down all the details of what you both agree to. Who is going to do what, by when. Be clear about what has been agreed upon, what needs confirmation, and what has yet to be addressed. You do not want either party to feel like the negotiations are going backwards. Always clarify what you believe has been agreed to by both of you before you leave the conversation. 7. Plan ahead. It is worthwhile to reach agreement on what happens when things don't go as planned. it's good to have a contingency plan. For example, if one parent will always take the child to piano class, what happens if that person can't make it one day? If someone is going to be late, what kind of notice needs to be given? Spending time now to have contingency plans will save frustrations later when plans do change. In addition, you need to reach agreement about how you will reach agreements in the future. This is especially true if there are children involved. For example, it can be very helpful to have an agreed formula for calculating special and extraordinary expenses that come up. If one of you changes jobs or moves, how will that impact schooling, transportation, extracurricular activities, etc.? For better or worse, sometimes life throws us curveballs, and it's helpful to have a plan for change.
After negotiating. Lastly, let's talk about what you should be doing after you reach an agreement. First, put it in writing. Write down the details of what you have agreed on. Both of you should review it to make sure that the agreement says what you intended to. Make sure that you are both okay with what the agreement says. You can write your agreement simply using ordinary language. Putting things in writing will increase the chance that your agreement will be followed by both of you. Stay positive. In the end of the session, express positive feelings about the agreement you have reached. This was probably a difficult process for both of you. As hard as it was to get an agreement, share your feelings about the fact that you both succeeded. I appreciate this. I feel better about this now that we've talked. Thank you. I'm glad that we were able to work this out together. Consider a check-in. Decide if you need to check in to see how things are going. If it is possible, you might even consider having regular check-ins, say annually or biannually.
Attention! There may be cases where, in spite of your best efforts, it is not possible to communicate with the other person. In that case, it may be a good idea to enlist the help of a professional, mediator, counselor, spiritual advisor, or a friend or family member who is willing to help.